Fighting games are categorically hard. It's 1v1, so there's no chance of a team carrying you. There's very little luck involved, so the better player will win basically every time. And it requires a pretty significant amount of precision with your inputs in order to be successful. The third point is the reason why a stable online service can make or break a game completely. Because of the global event that occurred over the last year that I can't say by name for fear of YouTube striking this video, we've all become too familiar with online play, and I've unfortunately realized just how lacking a lot of these services are. A large proportion of fighting games use delay-based netcode, which is a cheaper and easier to implement mode of online play, but in return results in greater chances of lag spikes or dropped inputs. Even in the best conditions, delay-based netcode will add a couple extra frames of input delay to all of your moves, which can, and often does, mess with players attempting to play with the precision they can at real-life tournaments. The alternative to delay-based netcode is a system called rollback netcode, where the netcode precisely predicts the button a player presses in real time, holy alliteration, and if it happens to get it wrong, it'll roll back to the previous correct game state and play those buttons correctly this time. The netcode is, as you can imagine, much harder and more expensive to implement, because doing it wrong can make the game unplayable, but typically even the worst rollback netcode is better than the best delay-based. But what does rollback netcode at its best feel like? When Arc System Works announced that their newest Guilty Gear game, Guilty Gear Strive, would have rollback netcode, that was all I, as somebody who spent a large chunk of the lockdown suffering on Smash Ultimate's terrible netcode, needed to hear in order to try it out. Today, I'm here to tell you that holy shit the game delivered. Guilty Gear Strive lets you pick from one of 15 characters to battle your opponent with in a best of 3 match to the death. Because there's only 15 characters, each of them play completely different from each other, so I'll go over them now. Soul Bad Guy is the main character of the game and plays nothing like a main character in a fighting game should. He's a hyper-aggressive, full rushdown son of a bitch who barely gives you time to breathe with each new attack. Kai Kiske is his counterpart, playing like a typical beginner character does in most fighting games and also being the second half of the all-important question. Which will you choose? Hunk or Twink? May's the captain of a band of sky pirates and commands all of SeaWorld to fight for you, and I say SeaWorld specifically because she abuses both her dolphins and you. Her theme is the Black Clover of music. Everyone says it gets good after the 17th listen, but the truth is by the time you get there, it hasn't gotten any better. You've just got Stockholm Syndrome now. Faust makes people who hate Hero and Smash Bros shit their pants instantaneously. Not only does he have an RNG item pulling move that can make or break situations for the opponent, but he has a stupid fucking crouch that goes under all of Kai's attacks. Ugh! Potemkin is this game's week 1 menace with a grab that does 60% of your health in one move. He's scary now, but once everyone figures out how to use their characters that are all better than this guy, he'll never win a single game again. Chip Zanoff is this game's Sheik, since he's given every single possible tool for every single situation in the game, but in return, if you manage to somehow fuck it up, he has the staying power of wet tissue paper. Zato 1 is voiced by Dio. 部下の適性を把握する。私のことなら全て知ってるだろう。He's also an incredibly interesting and difficult character that I've barely seen anybody play because they're still in the lab trying to figure out how he works. Milia Rage is incredibly fun to play but requires a brain so big its sheer mass covers up the glaring weaknesses she has. I, unfortunately, don't have that, so I continue to mash with her and lose. Axel Lowe is a British 90s kid who's trapped in the wrong generation, literally. He's an accidental time traveler who wants nothing more but to get back to his one and only true love, Megumi. His gameplay reflects how little he cares about anyone else, since it's impossible to ever get close to him. Anji Mito sucks, but his fans are very cool. Nah, I'm just kidding. He's got some insane tools that are very hard to read, but he clearly did something wrong to one of the game devs, since that's the only explanation I have for him having 0 moves safe on block. Ino is a punk rock wizard who plays her attacks with her guitar, and if I have to explain any further why that is so unbelievably raw, I think you should probably click off of this video. Leo Whitefang is a disgusting, unbelievably broken character made for children who never want to stop hitting the colorful buttons in front of their hands. And for some reason, everyone's week 1 tier list has decided this character is a mid-tier? What is mid-tier about a 5-hit combo performed with 1 button? Ramlethal Valentine is just as brain-dead and stupid as Leo is, but I play her so she gets a pass. She also has a puppy on her victory screen, making her the second best character in the game. Nogori Yuki is a menace, and my therapist has advised me not to speak much about him anymore, for fear of starting another episode, so I'm going to move on. And finally, Hot Pants, Giovanna, is the best character in the game, because she fights with a dog. Her moves are so fast and so oppressive that crying is the only option that's safe against her out of block. The game is just really fun. I don't think that had to be said, otherwise I wouldn't be making a video on it, but I figured I'd say it anyway. Probably my favorite Strive mechanic would be wall breaks. If you do a combo that's a certain length or a certain amount of damage in the corner, the wall will shatter behind them, and rewarding the person with a full bar of tension and putting both people back to the middle. Tension is like the special meter, by the way, it lets you do special moves. Sometimes the most annoying part about fighting games can be the corner. I can vouch that Dragon Ball FighterZ is basically a turn-based game since you're permanently stuck there. In Strive especially, optimized combos can do like 70% of your health bar instantly, so the wall break allows the games to be less snowbally and allows for more comebacks, which is always awesome. Wall breaks have made it so that the game really isn't over until it's over, which I love. More of a personal thing, but I started traditional fighters with Dragon Ball FighterZ, which is a team game, then I played a bit of BlazBlue Tag, which is also a team game, then I played Skullgirls, which is also a team game, and then finally to Granblue Vs, which while I love all of those games, the team aspect, or Granblue Vs trying to be beginner friendly, could oftentimes make the characters feel pretty basic. Strive does not have that problem. There's been a bunch of rounds where I straight up forgot I had some moves, which sounds bad and makes me sound stupid, but it means that in 2 weeks I've barely scratched the surface of my character. The online experience, like I explained in the lengthy intro, is brilliant. This is the best online connection I've ever had in a game, period. I can play with people across continents and it feels like I'm playing right next to them. That's not hyperbole either. Some of these clips are on my brother who's playing on the same setup as me and it's an identical experience. Also no, before you ask, I'm not going to tell you which ones are him. If I'm going to clip a man who doesn't even own the game, I'm not going to also strip him of his dignity. It's so refreshing to, after 15 months of suffering, have an online experience that doesn't make me want to stop playing the game immediately. ArcSys has even said that because of Strive's rollback, they're planning on adding rollback to their older titles again, which please add it to Granblue Vs. That game is sick and I love it, and plenty of people do as well, but nobody plays it because the connections suck, so I can't play it either outside of training mode, and that's just so boring, so just please, please. Honestly, that's kinda all I had planned for this. A bit of a short one, I know, but hey, my content is most of the time way too long. To sum it all up, Guilty Gear Strive, while a bit of a hard game to get into if you're a new fighting game player, is an incredibly solid and enjoyable experience that I think everyone should try. Online play is skill-based matchmaking, so even if you're a newer player, you'll be able to fight people on the same level as you. Plus it has some pretty good tutorials, so it's pretty easy to figure things out. Rollback netcode is the greatest thing to ever happen to video games since Risk of Rain 2, and I hope other fighting game developers take a look at Strive's mainstream success and think to add it into their own games as well, because I've played more than my fair share of laggy delay-based games of Ultimate Online during the global crisis, and I never want to go back to that. Strive is $60, and it's worth every penny I've spent on it so far. Well, except maybe some of the alts changing the skin tone of the characters, like, please, I want to use the pink Ramlethal skin without her jarringly turning white all of a sudden. As for me, that's all for today. If you liked the video, be sure to leave a like or comment, and if you really liked it, be sure to subscribe for more videos like this in the future. For now, I'll see you all in the next one. Which, if things go as planned, that one is going to be a bit longer than this one. So stay tuned. Goodbye. Actually, PS, one last thing, the soundtrack in this game is so raw. Yeah! Woo! Yes! Yes!